Hello and welcome to Hold the Line Sports, where we do the work so you don't have to. I just slapped my mic. Good Lord. All right, here we go.
Rookie mistake.
We're getting back in the grind, getting back in our rhythm, and so I think stuff like that's going to happen until we, get the kinks out. Second episode this week, so we are officially back on the grind. Very excited, adding some consistency to this. Today, it's just that time of year, y'all. The college football playoff is right around the corner. At time of recording, it is literally starting tomorrow. So I would say we're probably getting this out kind of late, but as long as we get it out before, in my mind, as long as we get it out before the game starts, I feel good about it. So I think we're going to keep it pretty simple, and I think we'll just take turns going through each of our brackets. And I don't know if you want to, maybe we kind of meet in the middle afterwards and say this is where we differed and kind of why, and I don't know, maybe we can convince each other of to switch allegiances in certain scenarios. But if you want to go ahead and get started, I'm curious to see how you see this playing out.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're in the first round at least. There's two pretty easy ones and there's two pretty not so easy ones. Um, so we'll go ahead and get them out of the way. The easy ones. Oregon's gonna beat James Madison pretty handily. I think that is going to be the biggest blowout. That's got. So you guys remember in like 2017? No, it was like 2018 ish when the KD Warriors are just absolutely mowing down everyone. KD and Steph, and in playoff games, Steph, KD, and Clay weren't even playing the fourth quarter. That's what this game's going to be. They're not even going to play the fourth quarter. We're going to have starters resting in the second half in a playoff game.
Which means James Madison might cover.
We'll get to the pick later. But, yeah, and then Ole Miss is going to be Tulane. I love my guy, John. Ole Miss is the better team. I actually think Ole Miss is going to come out kind of firing, kind of, galvanized after all that transpired with Lane Kiffin and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I got Ole Miss beating Tulane, and then we'll go down to what everyone thinks is going to be the most fun matchup: Miami, Texas A&M. So, I'm a believer that home field advantage matters, but Miami, the one thing with Miami is they've been known to get up for big games. They just can't handle the games that they're supposed to handle. So I think they're going to be up for this game. However, I think Texas A&M is going to win and move on. Do you want me to do my picks now, or we just kind of pick later of what we have?
In terms of like spread?
Yeah, basically.
Let's do it at the same time afterwards. Let's
Cool.
do the picks first, and then we'll or do these first, and then we'll do the spreads.
Good with me. So then we'll go to, in my opinion, I think I'm the most excited to watch this game, the Alabama-Oklahoma game, because
Same.
I'm a sucker for defense. I think this is going to be a really good, like 35 total points game. But I also think there's kind of some wild cards. Does John Mateer get healthy? Can he throw it now? Is the Alabama team was so banged up in the SEC championship? Are they healthy? Can they get going? But and last time around, this game was really good. And a lot of people think, oh, turnovers are kind of just a fluky stat. Now Oklahoma was actively forcing those turnovers in that game. Tyson Smith, I think had 3 turnovers, which is very uncharacteristic of him. So for that reason, I'm also going to go with the home team of Oklahoma beating Alabama. Again, Kalen DeBoer cannot get over his Brent Venables hump.
This is gonna be good. This is gonna be good.
So then we move up to the 5-4 matchup, Oregon, Texas Tech. If there was any Big 12 team that I would love to pick, and I think that can compete with these big boys of Oregon or in Indiana or Georgia, is Texas Tech. That defense is legit. I think that's, in my opinion, ever since maybe not the Texases and the Oklahomas when they were there, but in recent memory, this is the best Big 12 defense I have ever seen. But Oregon is a really great football team. They're peaking at the right time and they're getting healthy at the right time. So I'm going to take Oregon to beat Texas Tech. It may be different if it was in Lubbock, but it's not. So,
I was gonna say even if it was like the Cotton Bowl, I think they have a chance there.
yeah,
Because I think they're I think fans will travel with them, but only to an extent.
yeah, yeah. So then we can go down to this Oklahoma Indiana game. I think this is going to be a really good game. I really think Indiana is probably the most complete football team, but I think in terms of single unit, Oklahoma may have the best unit in football, being their defense. It's very close between them and Ohio State. So this game, I think people will be shocked at. I think Oklahoma is going to keep this game very, very close, but I think Oklahoma is going to win. They're going to upset Indiana in
Okay.
the second round. Oklahoma moves on to play Oregon. This one, Georgia versus Ole Miss rematch without Lane Kiffin. I think this is kind of where it ends for them. I think Georgia is going to be able to handle Ole Miss. I think Georgia's playing their best ball, so I really do think that that Georgia's going to be able to get it done and move on to the semis. And then this one, if there is a team offensively that is equipped to score on Ohio State, it's Texas A&M, strictly because of what they have on the outside. Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion could be the best wide receiver duo other than the one they have on the other side. That's the problem. I think Ohio State is just too good defensively, and I don't think they're going to be able to. I don't think Texas A&M is going to be able to stop Ohio State. So I do have Ohio State moving on to play Georgia. And then in the semis, I think this Oregon Oklahoma game will end 6-3. Both elite defenses, and I do like Dante Moore a lot. And I think if Oklahoma's gotten this far, the offense has woken up a bit. But I do think Oregon is going to get the job done and beat Oklahoma. Cinderella runs a little over, but I think Oregon gets it done, and they're able to slow down Oklahoma off, or not slow down, stop them basically to a halt, because that defense is very, very good. And then it leads me to, I think, the biggest game of the year, Georgia versus Ohio State. This would be an all-time clash, and I really do think that it just comes down to coaching. Who's the better coach? Some people think Ryan Day is the better coach. Some people think Kirby Smart's the better coach. I think these teams are so similar, so good at everything that they do. And I think Georgia gets it done. I think Georgia beats Ohio State and knocks them out. First-year starter quarterback comes back to bite them. And then it's a Georgia versus Oregon national title. Wouldn't that be something? Of all the teams, Indiana, Ohio State, it's Georgia versus Oregon to end the year. That would be a great game. And against my further judgment, I am going to pick the Bulldogs to win the national title. Yes. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. But I'm going to take Georgia to win the national title. I think this team is playing not only so good right now, they're playing the best they ever have of the year. And I think this is just kind of a team that plays such good complementary football. They're elite on special teams, they're elite on offense, and that pass rush is coming alive. And I think that's what's going to be the thing that puts them over the edge. And I think Georgia wins the national title.
I'm with you.
I know you are.
I'm with you.
See, you guys see that sign right back there for me. I'm a Florida fan. That pained me to do that. Pained me absolutely to the core. Hated every moment of it. I wish I could pick Oklahoma to win the title. I wish I could pick. I hate Ohio State, but I wish I could pick Indiana to win the title or Oregon to win the title. I just think Georgia gets it done. And if any of my friends that in my friend group that are watching this, I don't care if I picked y'all. I'm still rooting against y'all. Still doing it. Still doing it.
That's fair. I would expect nothing less. Otherwise, you're not a true fan.
Exactly. So,
Well, we're similar in a lot of areas. There are some key differences, and I'm excited to go through mine and kind of see where we end up here.
all right, I will pull yours up.
All right. So well, I guess we'll start it the same way. Um, I am a massive Alonzo Barrett fan, a massive one. I think he is a fun football player. They're not going to win this football game. It will not be competitive. Oregon's going to win easily, 3 touchdowns minimum. Um, and then the other one, Ole Miss and Tulane, very similar situation, except I like Tulane less. I think this is the one where the team that wins, Ole Miss, is going to win by 30. Like I think Oregon and James Madison has more of a chance to be close than Ole Miss and Tulane. And I know the spread is worse on the Oregon game. I've watched Tulane and I've watched Ole Miss. I don't think that's a good matchup for them. I think that's going to be a bloodbath.
I think the matchup is worse for Ole Miss, but I think Oregon's better than Ole Miss. That's why they splatter them.
Yeah, yeah. All right, then I'll go down to Miami and Texas A&M. Um, I I actually think Miami is pretty equipped to win this football game. I love their defense. I think they have a really high end both sides of the trenches, they have an advantage, I think. Their defensive line is nasty. They have 2 high first round picks on the defensive line, so they've got some blue chip. Their O line is good too. So in the trenches, I think Miami actually has somewhat of an edge, which in games like these, I think that is a massive beneficiary. Um, I haven't been in love with how Carson Beck has played this year, and I've watched him a lot. When he's on, he's on. He processes well. When he doesn't have time to process, it's a lot of the same stuff that we saw from the year before. But he's had easier matchups for most of the year. This is going to be probably his hardest matchup that he's had this year. Um, I think the X factor. There's 2 X factors on. There's an X factor on both teams, and it's KC for Texas A&M, and then it's Malachi Tony for Miami. And whoever has the bigger game, this is my call. This is my call. Whoever has the bigger game out of those 2 players wins the football game. Um, I think you can line up Malachi Tony in different ways. I think he can beat you more ways than KC can. KC can get you with like punt returns and kick returns too, though. So I mean, he's dangerous on special teams as well. But Malachi Tony is a future first round pick. That is a pro. That's an NFL football player. And when I talk about an ACC guy, and said he is him. He is one of them that is next up. I'm going to take Miami. I think both teams score 30 plus. I think Miami wins 34-31.
Solid. I mean, I think this is the closest. I think Alabama and Oklahoma's close as well. But
I
really,
think
this
this is
is
a
a toss
great
up.
game. This is
Yeah,
going to be a great game.
I think this is going to be the most eye-catching game. But I think
Yeah.
Alabama Oklahoma is going to be the best game.
Yes. That's the one that I'm most excited about watching. I'm excited to watch Miami because, Miami, and my one ACC representative. But I do legitimately think they can play with Texas A&M. I think they match up pretty well. And their defense has been their last 4 games before the end of the season. They gave up, it was like 11 points per game in their last 4. And so their defense is peaking at the right time. All right. So Alabama and Oklahoma, this is where it kind of gets interesting. In these types of situations, I tend to go with who I think the better quarterback is. That's like my rule of thumb at the college level is, like skill groups and quarterback, and coach and quarterback. Those are like probably the 2, and then it's skill guys after that, and then trenches. I think Alabama has the better quarterback. I think they arguably have the better coach, but I think that's closer. But I do think they have just a full year. I think you're looking at a potential top 5 pick for Alabama's quarterback. If he probably won't go, but if he does go, I think he's a first rounder, and he's kind of proven it all year. And so with that being said, I think this is also a nail biter game. I think this one is lower scoring than Miami by like a long shot. Like I think this is more like a 20-17. I just think when it's that kind of game, which quarterback makes the play? And I think it's Samson. So I'm going to go Alabama. It's going to be a 1-score game, 3 points or less most likely. But I'm going to take Alabama. The other thing is like it's hard to beat a team twice in the same season, and so I always go back to that too. Stuff to do, and that's not a bad team. Um, I'm also putting money on Alabama, so that's also going into it. The value's there. Like you get a top 10 team at almost plus money. Like I'm gonna look that way.
Right
So
now, it's
going
at a
Bama.
pick 'em just about.
That's smart. Which I mean that really means they favor Bama
Yeah,
because it's
home field.
Oklahoma home game.
Yep,
Yeah. So we'll go into the second round. Did you go top down?
I did top down. Yeah,
All right, so I'll go top down. Oregon and Texas Tech. I I actually err on the side of this not being as competitive as you might think it will be. I think Oregon is like in my eyes, they're the second best team in this. Like I think they're the second best team. I love Dante Moore. I love the quarterback play. I love their offense. I think they both have solid defenses. I think Oregon is more complete. I think Texas Tech can get streaky. I just think their defense has like really been like the stabilizing block for them. Um, but I think if Texas Tech was going to have to win, they'd have to score 30, and I don't think they do that. I think Oregon wins this game by at least a touchdown, maybe more, probably more. Who we got? Alabama and Indiana.
yep.
Okay, so this is where I was like, this is fun. If I had picked Oklahoma to beat Alabama, I would pick Oklahoma in this game. I think Oklahoma matches up perfectly against Indiana and what they can do. But because I have Alabama beating Oklahoma, I don't think Alabama matches up against Indiana. I think they get out coached, and I think the defense outplays them. Um, so I take Indiana in that game. But I think it's funny because if I had Oklahoma winning, I would have had Oklahoma moving on. I just think that's a great matchup for them.
Yeah.
Okay, so then it's Ole Miss and Georgia.
Yep.
Um,
And go ahead and select this one for you.
yeah, I mean, I just don't. I really like, truthfully, I don't think it's a great matchup for Ole Miss.
It's not.
I don't think it's a good matchup. I think Ole Miss is a great team. The one thing it's like this superstitious kind of thing where when a team is like peaking and then they get like a week off or like 10, 14 days off and then they play again, I worry that like that peak or like that, they're clearly ascending. I worry that having that break, because you want to be in rhythm. Like, does that break in rhythm cause a slow start from Georgia in like the first half? Which I think that could happen.
It
But
could.
if that does happen, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's a team that's better at second half adjustments than Georgia
No,
on this list of teams.
they started slow against Ole Miss in their game that they played, which hence
It's
that was in Athens.
yeah,
But I mean, I think the main thing that helps Georgia is the time off is health. Health.
for sure, and that's good for any team in this situation. It's just I always have like this thing in the back of my mind where a team is like clearly ascending, and then there's that break in rhythm. What does that look like after 14 days off? Um, but I still think even if it is a slow start like that, the second half adjustments put them over the top, and I think they beat Ole Miss. And then it is Miami and Ohio State. I love Miami. I think they are clearly the best ACC team. They will not come close in this game. Bad matchup for them. I think they have a fine defense. I think Miami's defense is a little bit underrated. I think this would be by far the best offense that they would have faced, though. The receiving core, the skill guys that they got, I just don't think Miami matches up. I don't think they've seen it for real. The best team they faced was like Notre Dame. I think Ohio State is better than Notre Dame. Ohio State wins this by, I think, 10. I don't think this game might be like close in terms of what the market has. I don't think it ends up being that close. I think they win by double digits. We go to, is that Oregon and Indiana?
Yep.
I actually haven't really thought this one through. You're gonna get kind of an off the cuff from me here. I've got Georgia planned out. I kind of know what I'm getting into there. Um, I I think Indiana's coach is one of the best coaches in all of football. I think Mendoza has been criminally underrated up until this year. You can attest to that.
Yep.
I have said that. I said that last year, and I'm glad he's finally getting noticed. I think this game goes down to the final play. I think this is like a great matchup. I think this just has like great football game written all over it. When I experience kind of has a little bit to do with it though. I think Indiana, it'd be one of those where Indiana kind of controls the pace of the game. That's what they've been good at doing. But I think Oregon keeps it close enough. And then I think Dante Moore makes a play at the end of the game, and I think Oregon actually beats Indiana. It's very hard to run the table. Oregon's been there before too, so maybe not the same quarterback, but there's a a lot of that group has kind of, they know what it's like. They've been there. They're good year in and year out, and so there's that factor as well. I think Oregon wins that, but I think it's like the last play of the game, walk off field goal or walk off touchdown or an OT win.
Sure.
Georgia and Ohio State. I have a ton of respect for Ohio State. I think pound for pound, they are probably the most gifted team from an organizational level. I think they might have the most talent. I think Georgia, if any, I think these are the two best. I'll say that. I think these are the two best teams in college football. I think it's Georgia and Ohio State, and then I think it's probably Indiana, Oregon. Like right, like I have the four best teams in this, so that's like I like that from that standpoint. In which case, the playoff worked if it ends up being that way. But we'll see how it goes. I think Ohio State has a little bit more talent-wise. I think Georgia has the best coach in all of football. I actually think Gunnar Stockton's a really good quarterback. I think that's a future draft pick. I think that's a future pro. He has more of those metrics than like Stetson had. And I'm a big Stetson guy. But I think Gunner's got it though. I think Gunner like legitimately has like pro caliber talent. The thing that like makes me hesitant is kind of like the newness. It's like his first full year starting. He's playing some big games though, and so like that's good. I feel like at this point he's played in more big games than Sayan has, and so I can kind of stand on that. Also, that's a young quarterback for Ohio State. It's a young guy in like the biggest stage imaginable. I've got to go with the team and the players that have a little bit more experience. I'm taking Georgia in a close game, a close, very good game.
So the same exact championship for both of us.
Yeah, and I just don't. I actually think Ohio State matches up better against Georgia than Oregon does. I'm a little bit more. I have more fear when it comes to Ohio State, like as a Georgia fan. So like objectively to me, I think Georgia is the better football team. I think their toughest, the thing that would, like, and this happens, right? So like they beat Ohio State, but that's such a grinder that they're beat up after that. And they've got some time off to rest, and that's fine. But like, what if it's Gunner? What if it's a key defensive piece that gets banged up? And so like this is a gauntlet that they're gonna have to go through to get here. It's a couple tough games. Same thing could happen to Oregon though. And so, but that's like my main concern is, the attrition that happens with these playoff runs. I still think overall, talent-wise, I do think Georgia's the better team, and I do think they have the better coach. I have Georgia winning the championship.
We didn't differ that much. No, yeah.
No, the main thing was with Bama and Oklahoma and how it kind of shifted things for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the main things that we were different on were the two games in the first round, Bama and Oklahoma, and then Miami and Texas A&M, which I'm not going to lie, I kind of expected you to pick Miami as you're an ACC guy. But
and I don't want that to be misconstrued with bias. Okay, like the reason that I can see the world for Miami is because I watched the tape and I know that the key pieces they have, and I know Malachi Tony. That's the name that I'm going to say. It's not Carson Beck. Like if I'm having a matchup and Carson Beck has to beat whatever other quarterback is going, I don't pick him. But Malachi Tony is different. That is a guy that can make a difference on both sides, on the special team side and the offensive side.
Oh yeah, and I think I don't know if I don't think they're as good as a Tony, but the combination of Craver and Concepcion can do the same thing.
Nasty.
Yes, and I think Craver at his peak, I think he's been playing hurt, time off, maybe he comes back a little bit.
True.
Both of them are game breakers, and I
Yep.
really do think if I it, like so I think both teams are going to try to establish a run and fail, and
100%.
it's going to be in the quarterback's hands. Who am I
Yeah.
putting it in? Carson Beck or Marcel Reed? Both have been turnover prone as of late,
Yep.
especially. But I'm going to put it in Marcel Reed's hands because he can either throw it or he can go get you 10 yards
He
with
can
his
take
legs.
off. That's
Yeah.
true. He can take off
Carson Beck cannot do it. He has to throw it, and I think that's the difference. Carson Beck can go get you 5
in spots.
if he needs it.
Yeah, in spots.
If it's 4th and 3, and he sees space, and he can get you 5. But if
Yeah.
it's 3rd and 12, and Marcel Reed has space, he can go get you 27.
Yeah.
So I really do think that it comes down to quarterback play, and if I'm taking that, I'm taking Marcel Reed.
I actually worry about Marcel Reed facing this defense. I think they can force mistakes, and I think because you said it, like both of those quarterbacks are kind of turnover prone. I think the thing that helps Marcel is he has faced good defenses already. The last time, it's the ACC, man. You don't face a ton of good defenses. Like Miami is the good defense in the ACC, which means that he practices against good defense, and so that
Different,
kind of
though.
I get it, 100%. I 100% with you. But week in and week out, he doesn't face the same competition that Marcel Reed has had to face, and so I do worry about that a little bit. But I think both quarterbacks are going to make mistakes.
I do too. And I've just seen Carson. I think what's both of the pass rushes are elite as well. Marcel can get out of there if he has to.
True.
And Carson Beck, we saw it at Georgia last year. We've seen it a little bit this year, like against Louisville. They get pressure and he panics and just kind of throws the ball up. So I think that's going to be the difference. I think it's going to be a very close game. Texas A&M is going to be up 4, and they're going to make Carson Beck go on a drive. He's going to be looking good at first. There's going to be back-to-back plays where they get pressure, and the second one's going to be a pick.
And that'll be ball game.
Yep.
What's your final score?
41-37.
I think both teams easily get to 30. I think both teams easily get to 30.
See, what's crazy is there is a world where I think it could be sneakily under. Like if both teams can't run, and then the pass games aren't working.
By the way, they won't.
They won't. But if the pass games both pass games aren't working as well, then it kind of bodes well.
I think that part's unlikely. And it's just too much. Like, even if it's not, they've got CJ Daniels, they've got some guys that they can get the rock to. And Carson can process. If he has time, he can process. And he does have one of the best offensive lines in college football at his disposal. And so I'd like to think he's got enough time and enough plays to be able to, make some plays downfield. And I know Marcel, even if he doesn't, he can escape and create offense that way.
Yeah.
I think it's more likely that Marcel has less time than Carson Beck does to make decisions, but I think it kind of nullifies itself because he can actually create when he's under pressure.
Yeah, that's my thought process. I think both teams will do a good job of protection, but there will be some plays where Ruben Bain is going to break through. He's going to.
Absolutely.
And the Texas A&M defensive line is going to break through at some point. Who's going to get out of there? Is it Marcel Reed or is it Carson Beck?
Yeah, that's not close.
I'm putting I'm taking a loan out on my home, everything, and putting it on Marcel Reed.
Yeah.
in that situation. But I do not feel that confident in this game. So I guess we can get into the game picks, and we can start with this one.
Yep.
What is your game pick for this one?
I didn't catch the over under. What is that at? Maybe it was
get back to you on that one. Just keep talking.
So I think in terms of line projection, I obviously have Miami winning outright, so I by default have to take the Miami plus 3.5, which I actually like. I think it's unlikely they lose by more than one score, and so If it's a field goal loss, then that's fine. I think the game's competitive either way. I think that's the main reason is like, I think regardless, the game stays competitive.
Yeah. The over-under is 48.5. It's lower than I expected.
I'm going over.
Yeah, I would take the over.
I'm going over.
But I also do like A&M to cover as well. I think that's what's going to happen. Because I think like if a field goal, if a game-winning field goal happens, cool, I'm okay with that. But these offenses are so explosive that I think this game could still be game could still be really close and be a 7-point game.
True.
So
True.
like, and that's kind of my thought process. I don't feel comfortable taking the plus 3.5 of Miami strictly because of that. And I think the app that I have it on, I have A&M -3, but I'll take 3.5.
Yeah, I've got 3.5 on ESPN. That's why I said that.
I got 3 at -120 odds. So
that counts.
Yeah,
that counts. In our ruling that counts.
Cool.
So that's fine.
We can move on to we'll go to the Ole Miss game. What do you have for the Ole Miss game?
Ole Miss, I've got it at -17.5. I'm gonna buy that up and take Ole Miss at -20.5. It is at least a 3-touchdown victory, at least.
We're along the same lines for sure.
The best team that Tulane has played is like Duke.
They played Ole Miss.
They lost. Yeah, they lost. They lost. I mean, the best team they beat. Sorry, the best team they beat was like Duke.
ACC champion Duke.
Oh my God! Yeah, good call. You're right, 100%.
So I'm along the same lines.
Such a farce, guy.
I have Ole Miss -10 first half. I think they get out to a big lead first half. When they played last time, it was 23-3 at halftime. So yeah, I've Ole Miss -10 in the first half. I could see maybe a first drive slow start, but then, they do have their same play caller, Charlie Weiss. So I do think they'll be okay.
I think they score immediately on the first 3 plays of the game.
It would not shock me. It would not shock me. But nothing in college football shocks me. This is a crazy year. We can go over to we can go over to the Oregon game. Oregon JMU, what do you got?
All right, so we've got it at 20.5 on mine. This is the one where I feel like it is more likely that Oregon shuts it down after they get out ahead. And I think we kind of talked about this a little bit. There's enough playmaking on James Madison to they played like Louisville in like week 2, and I think it was like -21 was a spread or something, or 20. It might have been 20.5, and they lost by 14. They scored a touchdown in the 4th to make it 14. I think they're explosive enough to like make something like that happen if it's late in the game and they're within 3 scores. If they're within 3 scores and it happens, then that makes sense. Can I buy up and just take it and play a push?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I'm going to go James Madison +21.
Okay. So
that way if they're down by 28, then they score late and it's 21.
I have the exact opposite. I have Oregon -20.5 because like usually with these giant spreads, everything, it's in the regular season and it could be like a look ahead spot, something like that.
Yeah, you leave it on the table.
Full attention in a playoff game. They're going to leave it all out there, especially in the first half at least. I think like this game will be 28-7, maybe even 28-0 at halftime. And I think the starters will come out there for the third quarter and put up another 14 or so. And then in the fourth quarter, it'll be like 49-10, 42-10, something like that. And they kind of just ride off into victory. A game ends like 42-17, something of that nature. So I have Oregon -20.5.
You took Ole Miss to cover too?
Yeah,
you did the first half.
First
half.
Yeah. Ole Miss first half, -10.
I mean, you're probably right. I want it to be a little bit more. I want it to be a little more competitive than that.
I want it to be wrong. I want it, and I don't want it to be wrong.
The reason I don't think James Madison is the worst team in this college football playoff. I think Tulane is worse than James Madison. That's just where I've watched them both play. I think James Madison is better. I also think James Madison is playing the better team. I think playing Oregon is very tough, and the travel is not going to be fun either.
The one thing that gets me on Tulane a little bit more than JMU is just they do have better athletes than James Madison. I think they have more physicality, all that kind of stuff, and are able to. And I James Madison's pass defense is atrocious.
Bad, very bad, very
Atrocious.
bad.
Dante Moore is going to pick them
Yeah,
apart.
like a 400-yard game is not out of the question.
If he played all four quarters,
Yeah, I think it's like a
his
400-yard
line would
game.
be like 370 and a half if he
Yeah,
played all four quarters. But because he's
yeah.
probably going to play 2.5 quarters, he's probably going to throw for like 225.
That's what I'm banking on. That's why we have the 3 touchdown cover.
All right, so we move on to the last game, Alabama versus Oklahoma. What do you got?
I'm taking Bama. So Bama plus 1.5, just in case they lose by one. I like the matchup for them. I think they have the advantage in quarterback play. I think they have the better quarterback. I think I actually think like Bama is a little bit more flawed than Oklahoma. Like I think Oklahoma has been more consistent throughout the duration of this year. I think Alabama's ceiling is higher because their quarterback play ceiling is higher. That's kind of where I draw the line there. That being said, I know this is going to be a close game. I want it to be a close game. Like I want this to be like the best game of the week. Like I'm very excited for it. I think it's two teams that are going to give it their all. Um, the other thing is it's very hard to beat a team twice, and so I lean Alabama from that standpoint. I've already watched it happen once this year where it was very hard to beat a team twice. Duke won a game that they had no business winning against Virginia because it's very hard to beat a team twice. And so I kind of have that same mindset. I take Alabama plus 1.5, but I think they win the game.
Yeah. I have two things written down that I'm kind of just going back and forth between. Right now, I have it as a pick 'em. I had Oklahoma winning, so I have Oklahoma money line written down. Then I also have under 40 and a half.
Okay.
That is such a low number, but it's really not at the
I
same
think I,
time.
s- I think I said final score was 2017. So I'm taking the under too.
I think that's my play right now, the under. I do think Oklahoma wins the game. So if it's a pick 'em, if you can get Oklahoma money line at minus 110 odds, that's what I'd take as well.
Yeah,
But I can get under 40 and a half at minus 110 odds as well right now. So I'm going to take the under 40 and a half in this game.
that's fair. That's fair. Anything else before we wrap this up?
No, that's all I got. Yeah, I'm excited for this weekend. So excited.
Yeah.
And
Starts
especially
tomorrow, man. Ready to roll. Can you hear me?
may have lost Cam
Can you
right
hear
at the
me?
very end, man.
Oh,
It's crazy.
man.
Maybe it's me.
Nope, it's me.
Damn. Well, we'll wrap it up. Peace out, y'all. We appreciate you guys watching. We're still working everything out, as you can tell. So I got a lot of stuff in the works. So we'll see y'all and peace out.